My name's Casey, I work at Blake Farms, and today I'm going to give you an introductory course into the art of pruning the apple tree. The time of year preferred to be pruning your apple trees is between December and March. You want to get it in the winter when the tree is dormant. So what I have behind me right now is about a 4 to 5 year old apple tree. And the way that we prune our trees here at Blake's is a technique that is called the central leader. What that means is that we take and allow one branch from the center of the tree to grow up the middle, and we train the tree so that it is reliant on this one growing the tallest and the highest. If it has any competition, other branches that grow off the center of the trunk here and try to take over as the central leader, we will prune that back. Down here is one tier in this central leader technique, tier up here. We're even working on a third tier. You can grow those as high as you want, as high as your ladders are anyway. So the tools you're going to need in order to successfully prune your tree are loppers, kind of like these, and probably some hand loppers if you got some smaller trees. The first thing that I look for when I go to prune a tree is obviously for some dead or diseased branches that might exist. You can tell that they're dead or dying if they snap when you bend them and they're just dry. Fortunately on this tree there aren't any because it's a very healthy tree, so that's great. The next thing I look for are these things called suckers, or root suckers too if they're down by the base. And just like their name suggests, they suck the energy out of the tree, which makes it difficult for it to produce fruit as efficiently. So what you do when you find these suckers is you move in and you cut them right down by the base. So just like this one right here, big, tall, 4-foot sucker, snap it off, no problem. So what you do is you work your way around the tree, trying to cut these down by the base, just to get rid of all these little suckers, because they will make it difficult for you to grow apples and for the sunlight to get to the apples. So what I'm seeing down here by the base of this tree is a lot of root suckers, they're called. These ones take the energy from the tree. The only reason we call them root suckers is because they're coming out of the root. So what you need to do, just like with the ones up top, is you cut them back so that they're not trying to grow their own little version of an apple tree down here. Another rule that we go by here when we're pruning our apple trees is one that we call knee-high, let it fly. What that suggests is that anything that is from your knees and below, you're going to want to cut back. Because as apples form on these lower branches, they're going to build weight, and you're just going to have apples touching the ground where the animals can get them, and they get all dirty and diseased, and that's just not what you want. So what we're going to do is cut back these low-hanging branches so that we're not going to have them touching the ground. So another thing that we look for when we're pruning our apple trees is for crossing and cramping of branches. If you allow your branches to bump up into each other, they're gonna have a hard time competing for space. It's not gonna get great airflow. You're just not gonna get as good of a crop. So what you wanna do is prevent your branches from growing back in towards the tree. You always want them to branch out, and you always want them to branch away from each other. So what we have here are two branches that are competing for space. Now I've got this branch that's already reaching this direction, this branch here that's coming over this way, and this one here that's crossing over our branch right here. So I kind of like how this one's coming this direction and that one's going that direction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this guy and create some space. Now you also notice that this guy right here is a little too close to our buddy right here. So I'm going to come back to where he's based out of, cut him out. And that creates a lot more airflow, a lot more possibility for sunlight, and realistically, a great prune. You're going to want to look for branches that have a good angle. 45 degrees is ideal. You want branches that are up at a 45 degree angle here or lower. So this one here is almost at 90 degrees out. So that's a solid branch to keep. If you find any that are angled up like this, like my finger is right now, you're going to want to probably cut those off because they're not going to be very good fruit bearing branches. One thing that a lot of people ask when they talk about pruning their young trees is how much they should cut off. A lot of times people will overcut or undercut because they're either too zealous or a little bit too scared. A good rule of thumb for pruning younger trees is that a third is preferred. If you cut off a third of the tree, it's not going to hurt it, it's not going to shock it, but it's just going to help supplement its growth in the future. Keep in mind, pruning apple trees is in a lot of ways more of an art than a science. You can have a lot of fun with it. You can shape the life of the tree however you see fit. Just have some fun with it, experiment a little bit, and every year you're going to see how your clips and your prunes affect the tree's future. So dig it, grow some apples, and see you soon.